Alright, Tom, here we are with the side panel off. Little tutorial of what we're looking at. So, these two blue sticks right here, those are called DIMMs, Direct Inline Memory Modules, also known as your RAM, or Random Access Memory. So, if you ever had to add to your RAM, which I can't recall exactly how much RAM you have. I think I gave you like 16 gigs, at least 8. I think it was 16, which is a lot. There are 2 available slots in which you can still add more RAM. If you see the white right in there and the white right over there, that's where you could clip in more of those RAM sticks. That ASUS processor right there, that is an I/O processor, an input-output processor, and since it actually happens to be right next to your SATAs, that's on your transfer bus. So that takes all your peripherals, say your hard drives, your CD, printers, parallel ports, serial connections, USB, and it processes it from the backside bus to the front side bus over to the processor. So this big beast right here, that critter, that's a fan that is sitting on this heat sink, and that heat sink actually sits on the central processing unit. So you can't actually see the CPU itself because it's underneath of that big giant beast. And then you have an augmented airflow right here, and then of course you know about this beast right here, which gives transverse airflow. So you've got, well, as you know a lot about thermal transfer. You've got a lot of airflow in this box, and then you've got these bad boys up here, so you have front to back cooling as well. So what else do we have going on here? That device, that is your video card. That's what offloads all of the processing from the central processing unit and does all of the graphics rendering for you to send to your monitor. I spec'd out a pretty beastie card for you, probably much more than you'll ever need in your lifetime, but that's fine. If you wanted to drive a 60-inch LCD monitor or LED monitor, you could actually do it with that video card, but maybe that's something you consider in the future. Okay, so right down here, that is your 1 terabyte hard drive. And let me see if I can get some light on this for you. There we go. So this guy right here, this flat ribbon cable, that is your SATA connection, which connects, let me see if I can keep the light on it, there we go, connects right there. So this is what actually passes the data to and from the hard drive over to the motherboard. The other end of that guy is right up in there. So you have a black one that goes to your CD-ROM, and you have a black one that goes to your hard drive, and then this white one, that is the SATA connector, flat ribbon cable connector that goes to your SSD. Okay, now which one of those black ones goes to the hard drive and which one goes to the CD-ROM, you just have to trace them out, and it's okay to reach in there and grab onto those. If I glance at it real quick, I could probably tell you which one is which. Let me see here. Let's reach in there, trace him out a little bit. Okay, yeah. So that was a quick little trace. The bottom black one is your CD-ROM. The top black one is your 1 terabyte hard drive. And then the white one, that's your SSD. So your SSD is actually inside of this case right here. And as you see, there's a white SATA connector right there. And immediately to the left of the white SATA connector, there's a black connector. That's your power connector. So what I had described to you is I wanted you to pop this off, and I'm not going to pop it off right now because the system is actually powered. As you can see, all the fans are moving. But you would power down the systems, pop that off, because sometimes the connections they'll shake loose for whatever reason, or sometimes they'll even oxidize, and then it'll will not short out. You'll just not get good conductivity. So I did that first thing. I popped them both off and reseated them, and that was a no-go. And so then I jumped into the BIOS and a few other things and found what the problem was. Let's see, what else do we have that you might be interested in? Of course, that there is your power supply. I think that's rather obvious because, you know, you see the power plug back here, which goes to the AC unit on the wall. Other than that, oh, up here, this would be your DVD read-write device, or CD-ROM, if you will. In this day and age, nobody really has a CD-ROM. They're all DVD reader-writers. And so if we zoom in there real close, we can see the SATA right there, and then the power right next to it. Anything else of interest? Oh, that little guy that's dangling right there, that's your giant fan RPM control system. So you have a low, medium, and high, and your system cooling is so efficient that it is selected for the low. If you move to Arizona or something like that, you may want to consider, you know, turning it up to medium or high. But up to this point, you've been just fine with it running on low. Let's see, other things that are in your system that you might be concerned about. Okay, down there, those little header connections, all of those little cables, they take care of all of the various little lights and the speaker connection. Not your master speakers that you listen to music with or sound effects, but the actual internal speaker that's in the system. I think when the system boots up, it might beep once. Every system has a little internal speaker, but that's just some basic motherboard controlling wires that without those you can't reset your system, you can't reboot your system, you can't power your system, like your power switch. That's what those cables take care of. What other things? Oh, right here, that's your master power block. So this big giant cable, let me see if I can point at it. Yeah, this big giant cable actually loops back in here. I dress it in so it's pretty, then it pops back out and goes down here to the power supply. That's the motherboard's power source. It's actually 12 volt, 12 volt, 5 volt, 5 volt. And then you have an augmented power connection. Let's see, that one's kind of hard to see. But if you see this trunk right here, the reason you have that is because you have that video card, and that video card's a pig on power, relatively speaking. Don't worry, you're not like running your power bill up, but you have to have this augmented power connection to actually run that video card because of its capabilities. Oh, and then don't panic about that. That alligator clip right there, that runs to ground so that I don't build up a static field on the box while I'm working on it and blow it up and, you know, do stupid things like that. So there you have it, Tom. You have a pretty lean, mean machine. Not too complicated. Pretty simple little beast. I hope that helps you out in the future. Oh, one thing you should know, you can see little metal clips on the SATA connectors. Those SATA connectors are locking SATA connectors, meaning you have to press those little silver tabs down to actually remove them from the motherboard. They're a little bit more high end, and you can actually see that they're on the SSD too. Let's see if I can get a good angle on that. There we go. You would have to depress that little tab and then pull it straight out. So I like the locking ones, just because they're a little bit more Lamborghini, a little less ghetto, and you know, kind of up the resale value of your overall machine. So, well, there you have it. Not too much else to talk about. I hope this video serves you well for in the future. All right, Tom, we'll talk to you later.